It began with a smell. Not the kind of smell that hits you all at once, but something subtler. It crept into the back of your throat and settled there like a bad memory. A metallic tang, faintly sweet, faintly rotten. Emily first noticed it when she got home from a double shift at the hospital, just past 2 a.m., bone-tired and hungry for silence. She lived alone in a crumbling old building in East Willow, a sleepy neighborhood with more cats than people on the streets at night. The building had its quirks: flickering lights, creaky stairs, radiators that hissed like snakes. But this was new. She paused outside her door, 3A, and frowned. The smell was stronger in the hallway tonight, concentrated like something was leaking out of the wall. Or under the door of the unit beside hers. Apartment 3B. That was odd. 3B had been vacant for months. The last tenant, some college student with bad taste in music, had moved out in March. Emily remembered because she'd celebrated with a bottle of wine in silence for the first time in weeks. Now she stood staring at that door. Something was different. The edges of it looked darker, as though shadow clung to the wood itself, bleeding out onto the floor like ink through paper. She shook her head. Too many night shifts. Sleep deprivation did weird things to the brain. She turned her key in the lock, went inside, and tried to forget it. But the smell didn't go away. Over the next few nights, things got worse. The building felt different. Heavier. As if the air itself resisted her presence. She heard noises, soft thuds at first, like furniture being shifted in the apartment next door. Then footsteps. Slow, deliberate pacing back and forth. Once she thought she heard something dragging across the floor. Not like a box or a chair. Something heavier. Softer. At first, she told herself someone must have moved in quietly. But there had been no moving truck, no furniture deliveries, no signs of life. No lights in the windows. Just noise. And the smell growing stronger, more cloying. One night, lying awake at 3 a.m., she heard it again. A voice. Whispering. Hoarse and rhythmic like chanting. She pressed her ear to the wall, heart hammering. The voice was low and wet, like someone speaking from deep inside their throat. The words weren't English, or any language she recognized. They carried a weight, a rhythm that made her skin crawl. She reported it to the landlord the next day. Mr. Weller was in his usual spot downstairs, his radio tuned to some jazz station from another decade, a mug of black coffee in hand. When she told him about the sounds, he barely reacted. "No one's rented 3B yet," he said, eyes on the window. "Must be the building settling." Settling? It sounds like someone living in there. He shrugged, slow and indifferent. Old buildings do strange things at night. She left frustrated but not convinced. That night something changed. She woke just after 3 a.m., heart pounding for no reason she could name. The room was silent, eerily so. The kind of silence that felt wrong. Then a sound. Click. Her eyes shot to the bedroom door. The deadbolt on her front door had unlocked. She hadn't moved. She hadn't gotten out of bed. The sound of the door creaking open, a single inch, was enough to send her bolting upright. Every instinct screamed at her to stay put. But she grabbed her flashlight and crept out of bed. The hallway was empty. The door stood ajar. She closed and bolted it, then dragged a chair under the handle. She didn't sleep for the rest of the night. The next morning, she went upstairs to talk to Mrs. Cranley, the elderly woman in 4C. She found her sitting on the sun-warmed balcony feeding pigeons. Her eyes were cloudy with age, but when Emily asked about apartment 3B, those eyes sharpened. "That apartment's cursed," she said in a whisper barely audible over the birds. "You're not the first one to hear things." Emily stared. "What do you mean?" "There was a boy back in '92. Lived in 3B. Kept to himself. One night, neighbors said they heard screaming for hours. Blood-curdling, they said. But no one called the police until morning." She paused, feeding the birds like this was just another afternoon. "When the cops broke in, they found him in the bathroom. Tub full of blood. He'd slashed his throat with a broken mirror. Wrote something on the wall before he died." Emily's voice cracked. "Wrote what?" Mrs. Cranley turned her face toward her, the look in her eyes no longer clouded, but sharp and haunted. "It watches from the dark. That night, sleep wouldn't come. Every shadow seemed too thick. Every sound too close. At 3:12 a.m. the noises returned, footsteps, then dragging, then the chant. But this time something new. Scratching. Not from the wall. From her bedroom door. Slow, deliberate. Not claws. Not nails. Something harder. More like bone." Emily couldn't move. She was paralyzed with fear, eyes locked on the doorknob. The scratching stopped. Knock. 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 3 soft taps. Her phone was dead. No charger in reach. She forced herself out of bed, grabbed her flashlight like a weapon and flung open the door. Nothing. The hallway light, normally triggered by motion, was off. Pitch black. She stepped back, breath fogging in the sudden chill. And then she saw it. Words, faint but unmistakable, etched into the wood floor just beyond her doorway. "Let me in." The next morning she stormed back to Mr. Weller. Demanded to see inside 3B. Threatened police, reporters, lawsuits. He hesitated, his face pale, then gave her the key. But he wouldn't go with her. "You want to poke around, be my guest," he said. "Just don't say I didn't warn you." She opened the door. The smell hit her like a wave, coppery and sickening. The walls were stained and wet with patches of black mold. The carpet squished under her feet. Wallpaper peeled in long, curling strips like dead skin. The apartment was empty. But it didn't feel abandoned. Felt watched. She stepped into the bathroom and froze. The mirror was shattered. Glass on the floor like teeth. And on the wall, written in dark, rusty streaks, "It watches from the dark." Her heart dropped. Behind her, the floor creaked. She turned, expecting Weller. But the door was shut. And locked. She pounded on it, screamed, but no sound seemed to escape the room. Her voice felt swallowed. Then she heard it. "Let me in." Right next to her ear. She spun around and saw it in the broken mirror. Tall. Wrong. Too many joints in the arms, head bent at a sick angle. No face, just two deep, endless holes where eyes should be. It didn't move. But its reflection leaned closer. She screamed. Loud. And this time the door burst open. Mr. Weller stood there, pale and shaking, grabbing her arm and yanking her out. He slammed the door shut behind them. "I told them," he muttered, his voice cracking. "I told them to seal it. They wouldn't listen." Emily left that night. Packed only what she could carry. She didn't even lock her apartment. She called in her resignation from a motel across town, booked a flight the next morning and never looked back. She moved across the country. Changed her number. Started over. She told herself it was just trauma. Sleep deprivation. Something her mind had conjured. But sometimes deep in the night she wakes up and hears her front door unlock. Then, knock, 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 and a whisper so close to her ear it could be inside her head. "Let me in."